Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Demo Mondays. Demo Mondays is a video series where I invite software developers of tools for Amazon sellers, and I ask them to present their product just like this on the screen. And today my guest is Splitly. And Splitly is presented by Ervin Ong. Hello Ervin.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So I'm glad to have another product of Jungle Scout suite, and it's Splitly. So could you, Ervin, explain to us shortly what Splitly does and what problem does it solve for Amazon sellers?
Yeah, perfect. So before I do that, let me take you through the seller journey and the suite of apps that we offer for sellers. So we've got Jungle Scout, who's there for product research and helps a seller start their selling journey on Amazon, find their product. Now, once they find their product and launch their product, we've got JumpSend. Now, JumpSend will help sellers launch their product, get reviews, boost their BSR, get to the first page. And then from there, users would typically branch off into either Fetcher or Splitly. So Fetcher is there to help with profit analytics, helping sellers understand their numbers and seeing where they can improve on their profitability further. Now, Splitly, on the other hand, it answers the question of how can we help sellers sell more? How can we improve your conversion rate? As a seller myself, I've always had the question before I discovered Splitly of if I test my main image, say if I change it, would it lead to more conversions? Would that lead to more sessions on my page? But there's not really a scientific or controlled way to do that. And then that's where Splitly comes in. So with Splitly, as I mentioned, we help sellers test their listings through a series of A/B tests that are controlled and as scientific as we can in terms of Amazon. So the overall goal is we want to help sellers improve their conversion rate, sell more, and profit more. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, it sounds like this kind of software is one of the few in the market, so it's a very rare solution. And which marketplaces are you covering right now with Splitly?
Right now, we cover the major marketplaces on Amazon. We are live on the USA, Canada, Mexico, and also all the European marketplaces, Italy, Germany, the UK,
France.
hopefully not France, exactly.
Spain. Yeah.
Spain, exactly. Thank you. Right now, we are not available for India yet, nor Japan or Australia, but we are looking at integrations for those in the near future.
What users is Splitly targeting? Is it the beginner or it's more for advanced sellers?
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's just for beginners nor advanced sellers. We kind of slot in between those. So typically it's good to start using Splitly once you've done your giveaways and once you've seen a consistent amount of sales to your listing coming each day. Just because whenever we upload your variants to Amazon, we're actually collecting real Amazon data. So if we're not getting enough data, such as sales or sessions, then it might take a little bit longer for us to declare a winner just because we're not getting the right data to begin with. So it's typically good if a seller has consistent sales, even if you have 1 or 2 sales a day, but that's consistent, that'll definitely help us declare a winner from this test.
Mm-hmm. And the connection of seller central account to the Splitly, how fast does it happen to pull the first initial data?
So setting up your account, fairly easy. It only takes 5 minutes, and we actually have a step-by-step guide on how to do it. Once you've connected your account, it typically takes about 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how many products that you have, the history of those products, but typically within 20, 30 minutes, you should be all set and ready to start testing.
Sounds quick. So let's look how Splitly looks inside and how do people use it.
Perfect. So let me switch my screen. First and foremost, you might be wondering what's that red bar. It might be a little bit annoying, but I just want to make clear that this is a real customer account. In this case, this is the Jungle Scout, Jungle Sticks, and Jungle Snugs account. And this red screen is making sure that I don't do anything stupid to this customer's account. So right here on the dashboard, we can see a series of boxes. We can see all the current tests that we have created and any tests that are running. We have test recommendations here to give sellers recommendations on what they can test on their listing. we give sellers revenue numbers month over month from when they first started selling on Amazon. And then lastly, we have the latest blog post here. It's looking a little bit empty right now, but we are updating the content real soon. So let's go to the main command center of Splitly, which is here in our products tab. And by the way, in each step of Splitly, there are videos to help sellers along the way in case they get lost. There are also some tooltips, which we can show you later. But that being said, here we have all the products that we have connected on this seller account. And from here, we can create an A/B test. We can run Profit Peak. Really briefly, Profit Peak is more of our dynamic repricer. I'll go into that later on. We've got our rank tracker, which is our keyword tracker. And then here we have our report section where you can view your essential metrics such as your sessions, your conversion rate, your sales, and we plot that into an easy chart that you can look at your reports and dissect really well. So from the very top, let's say we want to run a split test. So let's create an A/B test for this product. Here we've got a pop-up which says, which field do you want to optimize on your listing? And these are all the fields that we can optimize on your listing. We've got your images, your price, the title, your bullets, your description, and also your back-end search terms. Now, the reason why we ask which specific field you want to optimize yourself is because we only want to test one field at any given time. Because say, for example, if we're testing the image and the price at the same time, well, how can we be too sure that it was the price or the image that led to any changes to your listing? So really, we want to be controlled and scientific in this process and test one property at any given time. So here I have my test creation screen, and within this screen, in order to set up the test, I just need to have my unit cost entered in. In this case, since we already had a split test run before, it already saved my previous unit cost that I entered. So here's kind of where the magic happens. So here we essentially have variant A and variant B. What does that mean? So essentially when we run split tests, how we do it is we upload one of these two variants on Amazon on a day-to-day basis. So we show variant A for a full 24 hours, and then we show variant B for a full 24 hours. Now, right now they're looking to be the same, but let's tweak this listing to make sure to make it more clear and to see how we want to run the test. So variant A, this will typically act as our control or as our baseline. So we typically don't touch the variant A here because we need something to base our results off of. So this will be our current listing on Amazon. So let's call this the control. And then variant B, let's just erase this and call this the variant. So variant B is where we would have the leverage to change the things that we want to change. So as sellers, we do have premonitions about what if we change our listing's main image? Would that lead to more sessions? But we can never really be too sure. So we have an easy drag and drop interface here where you can simply drag and drop the images around. Since I'm only concerned about testing the main image here, I'm simply going to switch these two images around. And so if we click the control, we have this as a main product image. And if I click the variant, we have this as a main product image. And that's it. That's pretty much our test here. Now, before we begin, let's just click preview variant differences just to make sure that we want to proceed with these changes that we want to make. So here in Splitly, we typically highlight the differences between the two versions of your listing that you create as we highlight the differences. Once we're happy with these changes, let's just click outside this box, and then we can hit save and run, and then our test will begin. So what's going to happen from here on out is we're going to switch between the control and variant every other day. And as we switch between the control and the variant, we're going to be collecting information from the listing, such as how many sessions you're getting, how many sales you're getting between each of these variants, the total number of conversions, your conversion rate, and your profitability. Now, here's the most important part about split testing is we can't really just say, okay, well, if the variant had more sessions, then that's what we'll declare as a winner. That's kind of a flawed thinking and mindset, because no 2 sales days in Amazon are quite the same. And, no 2 sales days, you'll get the same amount of sessions, nor the same amount of sales. So how we make sure that the data is safe and accurate is a term called statistical significance. And you can think of statistical significance as the level of confidence that we have that our results from this test isn't just based on luck or chance or random coincidence, but actually something we can calculate for you. Now, over here in the advanced settings, the minimum significance that we're at least looking for is about 90%. And depending on how fast or how soon you want to see the results, you can tweak this to 80%, 90%, 95%, or 99%. So it kind of depends on how consistent and how much data we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Now, I often get asked whether there's a minimum number of sessions or a minimum number of sales that we require before we can run an effective split test. We don't really have a hard number on that, but we more so want consistency on a day-to-day basis. So typically, if you want to run a split test, we want to run a split test on items that have a consistent track record of sales and items that have consistent amount of sessions going to it each day. Now, the second question I'm always asked is, how soon can we see the results from a split test? So the answer depends on a 2-prong approach. It depends on this setting called the minimum rotations per variant. So this tells Splitly that between the 2 variants that we have, the control and the variant, we want them to be shown live on Amazon for at least 4 days each. So if we've got 2 variants, 4 days each, that's going to be 8 days at the minimum before we can end your test. Now, that's going to be 8 days if we're able to reach the 90% statistical significance that we're trying to aim for. What happens if we're past the 8-day period, but we haven't quite reached the 90% significance that we desire? So at that point, we'll just continue running the test, switching between the control and the variant until we're confident that we have enough data to declare a winner. At that point, once we find a winner, we'll upload the winning variant to Amazon. That way you don't really have to be bothered about changing it manually on Seller Central. And then lastly, before I move on, when you set up the goal for your test, you can set it up for different things. So you can set it up for profit, conversion rate, and sessions, which kind of brings me to a good point, is when users typically decide which property in their listing would they want to start first, I typically advise sellers that they want to look at their business reports and see what needs to be fixed on their listing. Are they having a session issue? Are they having trouble driving with traffic to their listing? Or are they having trouble converting the traffic that's going through their listing? So if it's more of a session issue where they're not having enough sessions, then a couple of split tests that I could recommend is for sellers to try doing a split test on their main image, their title, or their price. Now, if they're having a conversion rate issue, then they may want to run a split test on their secondary images, their price, their bullets, or their description. So that, in a nutshell, is how you would set up a split test. I do want to show you how a split test that has ended pretty well looks like. So let's look at this as an example. So over here, I've created a split test where we've tested the Jungle Snugs with the baby versus the product photo. How can we be sure which among the 2 of these images can drive the most sessions? So let's look at some of the results that we got. So here we've got graphs showing the 2 variants that we have, and they name each variant baby, product shot, and then we can actually look at the test results and look at what we can infer from the data. So based on the test results that we see, we got more sessions when we got the baby shot, and overall, in terms of the sessions, in terms of the sales, profit, conversion rate, we actually converted a lot better with the baby as the main image. So hence, we decided to stick with a baby as the main product image, and maybe down the road, we can try different tests with different angles of the baby or different product shots of the baby containing the product. Next, I want to move on to profit peak. Before I do that, one thing I do want to show is when we set up a test, let's say for other properties in our listing, we're also given different fields to test. So I did show the images just because it is more of the complicated one, but in terms of changing the title, the bullets, and the description, we simply have a text field where users can input the new text that they want to input. Okay, so let's move on to profit peak. So you can think of profit peak as sort of a modified way of testing your price. The conventional way that we would test your price with an A/B test is we'd have 2 price points, your current price, and you're testing that versus a higher price or versus a lower price. But instead, profit peak's a little bit more dynamic, because when you set it up, you'll tell us what specific range of prices do you want to test. So you'll tell us the lowest price that you want to sell this product for, as well as the highest price that you want to sell this product for. And what profit peak will do is we'll drill down on the sweet spot where you can sell the most, but also profit the most for each unit that you sell. And we want to do that because with profit peak, we want to try to find the correlation between how your product's price affects your product's demand. Over time, we want to be thinking about your price more proactively. And the beauty of profit peak is we built that with machine learning on hand. So once it becomes more familiar with your product and how your product moves based on the price, we can see shifts in the demand for product. Say, for example, if we suddenly see, and this is more of a seasonal product that we have, so if we suddenly see that, okay, as the months get near to summer, there's going to be more and more demand for the product. Well, we don't want to be leaving any money on the table if demand's certainly there. So what profit peak will do is automatically up your price based on that increase in demand. That way we're not leaving any money on the table. But on the flip side, if it sees that, okay, sales for the product has seen some sort of resistance, well, let's try to lower the price to see if a lower price can get you more sales. So the difference between profit peak and an A/B test is profit peak is a little bit more dynamic in the sense that an A/B test will end once we've reached statistical significance. But profit peak, on the other hand, you can just keep this running and going on forever until you essentially disable it. And the whole premise behind that is no 2 sales days in Amazon are quite the same. And, you may sell differently for different days of the week as well. So we want to always keep your pricing top of mind and make these price changes automatically for you. One thing I do want to note is we have had some trouble with products that have subscribe and save, just because Amazon doesn't really want us to be changing prices that often. And similar to an A/B test, we would change your price once a day. But even at that rate, Amazon thinks that it's too often. So it's definitely recommended that if some sellers have subscribe and save, that they don't use profit peak, just because some customers would subscribe under that product for a certain price, and then customers the next day would subscribe under perhaps a lower price or a higher price. So Amazon just doesn't think it's that fair. And lastly, the last feature that we have in Splitly is our rank tracker, or a keyword tracker as well. So what it does is it helps you keep track of where you would rank on Amazon for a certain keyword. So the process would be synonymous to us going on Amazon, typing in marshmallow sticks on the search results, and telling the seller exactly where can we find your listing on the search results. Are you on page 1, page 2, page 3? And within these pages, we'll tell you where exactly can we find your listing. Are you on the first page and on the second search result, or are you on the third search result, and so on and so forth. Then over time, you should be able to look at your progression for these keywords from the day that you started tracking them. And you can go back from a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and up to 1 year ago. So now I showed it for 3 months, The data is a little bit convoluted, but you are able to track your progression for these keywords over time. And then lastly, let's go back to the report section. So this is simply an easy way for us to showcase your progression over time as far as sales goes and your various business metrics. So we can show you the total revenue that you did over time, your sales, your conversion rate, your sessions, PPC spend. We break that down by the ASIN as well. And you can break this down from 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180, or 365 days ago. And as far as Splitly goes, I believe that is pretty much it for the basics of Splitly.
I have one question. So what is the best way to use Splitly? Let's say there is a seller, he has one product. So he plugs into Splitly and he sets it up, makes the configuration. So what does it do? When should he log in back to Splitly? Is Splitly sending any notifications? How does it work?
Yeah, so once a seller connects his Splitly account and once we pull all the products, he can then begin split testing. So typically the most bang for your buck split test, if you will, would be your price. And then that's followed by your images. Typically the main image or the secondary images drive the most conversions. That's then followed by the title, followed by your bullets, and then your description and your search terms. So typically, price is the lowest hanging fruit just because you don't really have to change anything, and then you can just change your price and lower your price or increase your price. As far as images goes, that does take some resources on the seller's end, whether or not they already have the images and just need some extra graphic design work done on them, or maybe they need to take a new set of images. That does require some resources as well. But typically once they set up a test, it's hands off. Once a test has finished, they'll receive a notification, and once they're happy with the winner, they don't even have to touch a thing. The winner will automatically be uploaded to Amazon.
Okay, so Splitly will notify after the significant amount of data into the system. Good.
That's correct, yeah.
Shall we look at the pricing of Splitly?
Yeah, let's look at the pricing table here. So as far as pricing goes, we go by account limits. So on the starter plan, it is $47 a month, and we go by the number of tests. And what I mean by that is you can have 3 tests for 3 different ASINs running at any given time. And you can have Profit Peak or A/B test running. Profit Peak, I have to say, is not available on the starter plan, but it is available on the growth plan. But going back to the tests, we do count the tests by the parent ASIN. So for example, if there's one seller, he's got one product, but that product has, say, 10 color variations. Even if he runs 10 different tests on those 10 different color variations, that'll only count as one test. And then the next plan up is the growth plan, which is $97 a month. That allows up to 10 concurrent tests at any given time, 500 keywords tracked, Profit Peak. And then the next plan up, 25 tests, 1,000 keywords. And then Enterprise, you've got 100 tests and 5,000 keywords. Now, all plans do come with a free setup call. So similar to what I've shown the viewers today, I'll show the viewers how to set up an A/B test, answer any questions that they have about the software, the methodology, and anything Amazon related as well. I'm an Amazon seller myself, so if people are having issues with conversion rate or need help with pay-per-click, we sometimes delve into that, and sometimes the conversation does get derailed into other topics aside from Splitly.
What I find interesting on your pricing page is that you are displaying the most expensive package on the left side, and this is very unusual. Did you do any split tests on this page?
I think the developers did run some split tests on this page before I came in. It is something that we're working on again, but I think they ran some split tests on this one. It would be pretty ironic if they didn't.
Yes.
One last thing is any person who signs up, any customer viewers or any person who tunes in, they are eligible to get a 25% discount their first month with Splitly. And the code for that is Demo Mondays 25.
Yeah, thank you for this offer. And last two questions. What future features are you planning to release for the users?
Right now, we are working on beefing up our keyword tracking tool. We are making some major overhauls to the interface. Right now, a lot of people are saying that it's already user-friendly, but I've had a sneak peek at the new interface, and it just blows me away. Seems like a total refresh. So right now, that's been our major focus. We're doing some small fixes here and there in terms of better UX, better UI, improving the rank tracker, and then we've got more changes coming up to Profit Peak as well.
Great, thank you. And final question, how does support work of Splitly? So how people can get in touch with your support team, and how fast do you respond to the queries?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with the support team is by sending us an email at hello@splitly.com. And typically, tickets are being answered within 4 hours or less. Right now, specifically, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes. We're trying to get that down to 3 hours, but we are pretty quick in getting a response back to customers.
You are covering 24 hours? Wow.
For the most part, we have typically the schedule runs from about 7 a.m. Pacific all the way to 5 Pacific. But the guys who are at support are kind of dedicated, and most of them are on their computers the whole day. So you may get a response at 11 at night even as well.
Wow, sounds great. Thanks a lot for this quick demonstration of Splitly. I hope a lot of users will love it, and good luck in your business. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, Augustus. I enjoyed doing it. Take care.